So, to start off with today, I have two topics which I would like to discuss. First being Nazi Germany, and that is because I have had a genuine interest in the First World War, the interwar period, and the Second World War. And this semester, at my university, I am taking a unit which is about Lenin, Stalin, Hitler, and Mussolini, and basically challenging my stereotypes towards those four leaders. And my special area in this unit is really Nazi Germany, since, well, I am half Swedish, and I've always had, I wouldn't say an affinity, but an interest in Hitler, in the Nazi Party, how it gained so much momentum in the early 1930s, to lead to Hitler capturing power on the 30th of January 1933. But also it's just a fascinating period of history. But I think there is a need for us humans to challenge our way of thinking, because whilst ignorance is very bliss, if someone is ignorant, they are not an active member of society. And how can society go forward when it is saturated with people who are ignorant, who don't want to accept reality, and who stick to misguided principles? Anyway, and the second topic I'd like to talk about today is the level of English which supposed native speakers possess. And I'll talk about that later on. First of all, as I said, I'd like to talk about Hitler. Hitler was very ambitious, and he was very stubborn, you could say. But he wasn't just a cuckoo crazy clown. And everything that happened during the between 1933 and 1945 was not all his work. Furthermore, what I would in particular like to focus on in this video is the fact that, yes, well, in history you cannot say anything is a fact, but the strongly believed notion that Hitler's rise to power was not just due to his volition alone. In fact, whilst I have done some research, I've done quite a bit of reading in this area, I have concluded that it was actually more circumstance than volition on Hitler's part which brought him to power. Hitler's views for creating a supreme Aryan race are clearly, well, no, I wouldn't say clearly, but they're spelled out in his autobiography, you could say, Mein Kampf, which means my struggle, in German. Which, well, sorry, means in English, my bad. And he finished that book in 1927. Now, I won't go into the very particular details about this, but there were a group of men in the very high ranks of German politics who essentially hoisted him to power. Partly because they didn't want the other person to lead Germany, and also because they felt that Germany was heading towards a state of emergency due to the crumbling Weimar Republic. And also, I would like to strongly express that it wasn't just Hitler who was anti-Semitic. Anti-Semitic means basically being against Jewish people. It wasn't just Hitler who was anti-Semitic. The German populace had been anti-Semitic essentially even before the creation of the Second Reich. Even before when Germany was created as the nation we know today in roughly 1870. People had always been suspicious towards Jews. Now, in this video, I'm not trying to condone what Hitler and the SS, the Gestapo, the SA, the Einsatzgruppen in the Soviet Union, what they did. But I would like to provide another or a different viewpoint. I'm not a Nazi at all. I just believe in examining history and events in history from as many different angles as possible. So I may make a mini-series, we'll see how I go. I'm currently doing research on the critical stages of the solution to the final solution to the Jewish problem, I guess as it was defined by Germans between 33 and 45, and I would like to relay my progress in my research to you, the YouTube audience, as my research progresses. Okay, now quickly I would like to move on to the topic of the proficiency in English which supposed native speakers have. I must say, I am absolutely, and I'm saying this bluntly, I'm absolutely disgusted by the poor level of English which so many Australians, Americans, British people, New Zealanders, South Africans, whoever, their level of English is shocking. It almost makes me sick. I can appreciate that when we communicate on the internet, we communicate quickly, and so we may say we may type the letter U instead of YOU, or CYA instead of CU. But what I'm really getting at here is people bundling up fundamental aspects of the English language, such as there and there, whether, where to put apostrophes, where to put capital letters, not such a big thing on the internet, as I mentioned previously, and what else can I think of? And just basic grammar. It's disgusting. The people who tend to not be so good at English tend to be those who only speak English. Those who can speak a foreign language like Japanese, German, French, Italian, Finnish, Icelandic, whatever, they've had to analyze their own language, their own native language, in this case English, and hence they've had to learn what a transitive verb is, what an intransitive verb is, what an adverb is, what a perfect participle is. But most teenagers and most youths in Australia, in America, and Britain, I use those three countries as my main example. Their English is absolutely disgusting. It's just very, very poor. I see this very gradual, but steady degeneration of the English language, and I see it as a very big problem because, of course, it hasn't got to the stage where people cannot communicate with each other. I mean, so long as these people can get their intention across, that will suffice for them in most cases. But when that lack of language competency transcends down to their studies, when they can't produce a coherent essay, when they can't communicate properly with their superiors, teachers, boss, whoever, it highlights a very alarming trend in Western society. And that is why I believe in the next 20 to 30 years, as more and more foreigners study English passionately, they will basically laugh at native speakers and say, wow, you really do suck at your own language. So that's what I'd like to say for today. We'll see you later.